Episode 2 of the Hoop Fans podcast. I'm your host, K Rose, my boy Matt over there. Matt, like I always say, let's get right to it, bro. Let's get right to it. If you had a vote today, as of January 21st, 2023, who would you vote for the All-Star starters? And right now, we're gonna start off. Let's start off with the Eastern Conference, Matt. Who you got for the All-Star starters?
Listen, man, before we get started here, this is a very tight race for all-star status this year. There's a lot of guys deserving of it. But let me jump right into my starters. So of course, Embiid,
Okay. Joel
bro,
Embiid.
he's obviously, I mean, he's a lock. He's a lock. I got Tatum,
Okay.
Giannis, and the guards is where it gets tricky. I might get some slack for this, but I got Trae Young and Donovan Mitchell.
Trae
Yes, yes,
Young and Donovan
yes,
Mitchell as the
yes,
guards.
yes,
I agree
sir.
with you. First of all, I think me and you both have the same list in terms of Tatum, Giannis, and B. Those are locks. So we probably don't even really got to spend too much time on them. They're locked in. Obviously, with the Celtics being the number one seed in the East, Bucks being the number two, Philly being the number three. They're having great years, locked in. Who you
Mhm,
want to talk about first, bro? Because that is a little controversial. Give me Trae
mhm.
Young. Why? Give me the case for Trae Young.
Let me start with Trey. Yeah. So for me, when I was going over this last week, it was between Jalen Brunson and Trey Young.
Yes.
And I
Okay.
mean, the argument for Jalen Brunson is obviously they're having a career year. I mean, his status has really elevated, obviously the last 2 years, and I think he is definitely deserving of it. But for me, it came down to who I want to see in the All Star game, and
Oh.
and dude, he's got an All Star. He's entertaining, I'll say. So I think the what do I want to say, the business of the NBA. Like I feel like they would put Trey Young in there, but I think he's deserving as well. I mean, aside from his entertaining style of play, I mean he's got the numbers for All Star starter status. I mean he's averaging right around 27, 28 a game. I think he's about 11 and a half assists if I'm not mistaken. Now record wise, obviously the Hawks are hot garbage most nights. But I don't know. I think he's my pick for the starting point guard, and you know,
So I think I agree, bro. I think Trey is deserving. I think Trey is deserving. If we're going to talk about it, the main reason why someone wouldn't have him as an all-star starter up to this point is because of the Hawks record. They're just
mhm,
not playing as well as they could. Currently, as of this recording, they have a record of 18 and 24. So they're 6 games below 500. So if you were going to knock Trey Young, obviously, like you said, it's the Hawks record and them not having great success so far this season. But stats, like you said, 26.9 points a game, 3 rebounds, 10.8 assists. And you're right. I remember the moment that Trey Young played in the All-Star game with Ja Morant. And I want to say they were still doing the captain. So I believe it might have been LeBron and KD or LeBron and Giannis as the captains of the teams. When Trey Young, I want to say he threw two back-to-back oops to Ja Morant, like some of the best games, best plays in that All-Star game. So I
mhm,
agree. He has a game that fits it because he's such a great passer. And
mhm,
if he want to get into that deep three-point shooting bag, he can do that as well. Like if you want to have him get into that bag versus Steph Curry or like Dame and just have a back and forth of who can keep hitting deep three-pointers, Trey
mhm.
can get in that, and he passes the ball very well for alley oop. So entertainment wise, I agree with you. Um, for me though, as a starting point guard, I'm gonna keep it a bean. I got Jalen Brunson as a starting point guard. I just
Mhm.
think you can't ignore the Knicks' success. The Knicks currently, as of this recording, are the fifth seed in the Eastern Conference with a record of 26 and 17 as of this recording. And I've been able to see Jalen Brunson in person this season. And I'm gonna be honest, it's just unbelievable to have a point guard of his size with limited athleticism be able to dominate basketball games so crazy. And it's just unbelievable, bro, in terms of like how he's able to get his shot off, how crafty he is in the lane. He can go left, he can go right. He has that awkward left hand game. You think about his season that he's having right now. Currently, the Knicks are the fifth seed. He's averaging 26.5 points, 6.5 assists, 3.9 rebounds, and he's shooting 47.5% from the field as a 6'1 smaller point guard, scoring guard. So for me, him and Trey Young are very similar in amount of points. Trey Young is a much better passer, obviously. Like Trey Young's one of the best passers in the league, so you got to give him that. But because of the success of the teams, the Knicks being a fifth seed and the Hawks being 6 games under 500, I got to give that guard spot to Jalen Brunson.
Right after I said Trae Young, though, I was looking down on my list, and I think Halliburton. I think he's gonna get that nod over Trae Young. And realistically speaking, if we're gonna like voting how the turnout's gonna be, I think that Halliburton's gonna get it. I completely missed that on my list, but I'm gonna stick with my pick.
I
I
mean,
think
so tell me, so I mean, this is great that you brought that up because that means you already didn't have him as your second guard. So who's your second guard as a starter?
my second guard as a starter is I think I said Donovan Mitchell. Yeah.
Okay,
So
make the case for Donovan Mitchell then over Tyrese Halliburton.
you said make the case.
Yeah, if you got him starting over Halliburton, make the case for
Oh,
me.
record. I mean, I go with record. As of right now, it's Cleveland's 25-15, fourth seed.
Okay.
Um, Indiana's 7. 24-18, only 3 games back, obviously, but um, or 1 game back actually, win wise. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, like 1 or 2 games back from reaching a 5 or 4 seed right now in the standings. But I don't know. I mean, I think Halliburton and point guard wise, Halliburton and Trae Young bring a similar element to an All Star game where it's obviously entertainment. Um, but yeah, Donovan Mitchell's a lock at that 2 guard in the East. I think he's arguably, I think he's better than Jaylen Brown at the 2. Um, I think he is. I think a lot of people would say he's a starting 2 in the Eastern Conference. Um, maybe Jimmy Butler would get some votes as a starter, but I can't see it. I mean, he hasn't played enough games for me to feel confident enough to give him that nod.
And Jimmy, not to cut you off, but Jimmy is not really a guard anymore to me. Because you
Right.
think
Yeah.
about it, you start in Kyle Lowry, and Tyler Hero. Jimmy is really like sometimes Jimmy
Three.
plays the 4 for the Heat
Yeah.
at times.
So I mean that leaves me. Obviously, I have Brunson as he's a reserve for me, but where we're putting Tyrese Maxey at, is he a 1? Is he a 2? Is he a combo guard? Like, what is he?
And this is where it's a tough spot as far as being the starters because in the East, like you said, we have the 3 locks for the forward spots, but in the East,
Right.
the guards can go to a lot of guys. You know what I mean? A lot of deserving starting caliber guys who are having starting caliber seasons. So I'm gonna I'm gonna zag. So if you took Donovan Mitchell, and I understand kind of why you took Donovan Mitchell, I believe, like you said, the Cavs surprisingly are the 4th seed in the East right now at 25-15.
Hmm.
Donovan Mitchell's averaging almost 30. And where I got to give Donovan Mitchell some credit is he's doing a lot of this. He's held the Cavs afloat
Hmm.
during the time of when Darius Garland and Evan Mobley have missed time. Like they've missed considerable time this season already. So for him to keep the Cavs afloat, I feel like no one's really talking about the season Donovan Mitchell's having. And it's interesting to me because I wonder why. But for me, I might steal a little bit from your answer in terms of I think Tyrese Halliburton. If you think Trae Young is great for the All Star game, and I agree in terms of the entertainment factor, Tyrese Halliburton is on the same type of level as a guard, right? Look at it, you think about his assists. He's leading the league in assists, 23 points a game, almost 24 points a game, excuse me. 12.6 assists, leading the NBA. He's shooting 49.6% from the field. And the type of brand of basketball that he plays and brings to the Pacers, fast pace, get up and down, get into the paint, kick out the shooters, a lot of quick offense. They're trying to score 120, 130 points per game every game. He brings a certain excitement to that. Let's pair that up in the East with Giannis running the floor with you, Joel Embiid running the floor with you, Tatum
Yeah.
running the wing for you. And I think he'll bring that level of excitement. I also think that he's deserving in the sense of the Pacers. They may be a little bit ahead of schedule at 24-18. Currently the 7th seed in the East made it to the in-season tournament final. So he's done a lot to really rebrand the Pacers almost in terms of them being a team to look out for. Not a team that's a contender, but a team that you're hitting league pass to see.
For
Um,
sure. For
so I
sure.
my 2 guards zagging from you a little bit. So I said Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton. You got Trae Young and Donovan Mitchell. Who didn't we name in that group, bro? What's a notable name?
Damian Lillard.
Damian Lillard. That's how rough this is, bro.
Super
What
rough, bro.
Do you think he has a legitimate case, or is he for sure a lock to be a reserve?
I could see him getting snubbed like how he used to get snubbed when he was back with Portland, back in like the 2015 to like 2018. There was a couple years there where he got snubbed. So I mean, he's older now, obviously. You know, if we're crystal ball in this whole thing, he might not have a lot All Star appearances left. Um, I want to include him on here, but I did miss him on my list. I had guys like Jalen Brown over him.
So do you think Dame should be snubbed? We already know right now, bro, that
No,
the votes are going to turn out a certain way where guys are going to make it because of their popularity.
right.
But who do you think deserves? So do you think Dame has a case, or that he's for
Oh
sure?
yeah, I think he absolutely has a case, bro. I mean, he's averaging 26 and 6.5 assists.
Okay.
Second in the East. I feel like that's rewardable. I think they need to have two All Stars.
Okay.
Um, we'll see.
I think one thing with us with our picks, the reason I guess it seems that we're kind of swaying away from guys like Tyrese Maxey and Damian Lillard, who probably Tyrese even more so. Well, they're both kind of, because the Bucks are our second seed, so they're both kind of equally deserving. I think we're rewarding guys who are leading their teams as the number one option versus guys who are having better team success, but they're the
Hmm.
number two guys. Like Dame is behind Giannis, Tyrese is
Hmm.
behind Joel Embiid. So that factors into them having a team that's excelling because they have guys who are in the pecking order higher than them. But when you got guys like Jalen Brunson, Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Halliburton, these guys are the clear cut number one options who are leading their franchise. So I see that we're kind of rewarding them versus
Hmm.
rewarding the Robins who are having great statistical seasons as well. So it's interesting. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Jalen Brunson versus Tyrese Halliburton, Trae Young versus Trae Young and who was your second? Oh, Donovan Mitchell.
Hmm.
It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. All right, bro. So let's move on. Let's keep it moving then. Western Conference. I'll go first on the Western Conference then. For
Yeah, let me
me,
hear that. I need to hear this list.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I don't think there's as many locks in the Western Conference as there in the East. So for me, I've got Shea, Luca,
Hmm.
Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Joker. I think those are my starters. And out of that list, I believe only Shea and Joker are locks. So when you figure the Denver Nuggets are the number 3 seed in the West
Hmm.
as of this recording, I believe the standings for them, they are 29 and 14. We don't really have to talk too much about Joker. Joker's the former reigning MVP. He's having another Joker type season where you could argue he's having an MVP caliber season. So we don't got to really worry about Joker. He should start as a starting center.
Agree.
Shea with the Thunder being the number 2 seed in the West, 29 and 13. And I'm not gonna lie, Shea's just amazing, bro. He's amazing. Like when I like seeing him play, as soon as the 3 pointers fall for Shea, there will be literally nothing teams will be able to do with him. Because right now, if you're able to stop him from getting into the paint, which he does, which is very hard to do in itself, if you're able to keep a body in front of him and stop him from getting downhill into the paint, you have a chance to kind of affect his game because his pull up jump shot from three and his step back, they aren't really there yet. Soon as he gets that, that man is unguardable. Like he's further unguardable. I think he's a lot due to the OKC success and their age. I don't
Hmm.
think no one, based on their age, the young guys that they have leading their team, no one would have predicted they'd be this far in their development. And a lot of that is because of Shea leading them in the way that he does. So I think for me, those are two locks. Let's talk about the spots that I don't think are the locks. So for me, I've got, like I said, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, and Luca as my second guard.
But talk to us a little bit why you think Luka's not a lock, because that's interesting to me. I get it, but I think I know why. But I want to hear. I want to hear.
Only reason I don't think Luca is a lock at that second guard spot is It has nothing to do with his own individual production. The man is averaging 33.6 points a game, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. I'm not gonna lie, even reading those stats, I'm like, I can't believe I don't have this man as a lock. But the only case that you would make for that is because the Mavericks are the 6th seed in the West at 24 and 18. So the people who you would have him stacked up against is Ant-Man having a good enough season individually, combined with the Wolves being the number 1 seed in the West. Does that make Luka's case not as locked in as it should be? You tell me.
I believe so. I believe it does. I mean,
Okay.
different teams, of course, different players, um, but this is a situation where we're Ants obviously in pretty much all the major statistical categories is a little bit under Luca. I think he's averaging like 26, or just a little right under 26 a game, probably. Um, five or six rebounds and then 3 or 4 assists to Luca's 9 rebounds and 8 assists per game, or vice versa.
We already know there's going to be guys that are going to get in because they're part of the NBA brand. They're a huge part of the NBA brand. Guys like Steph Curry, guys like LeBron James, they're going to start because of the fan popularity. For me, at least, when we're thinking about who should start, me and you talking about who should start, Ant's having a good year, like you said, 26, 5-5 for the number 1 seed in the West. So I
Mm-hmm.
think his individual production, I do think his individual production plus his team success gives him a strong enough of a case that
Mm-hmm.
Luka isn't a lock like Shea. But I'm not gonna lie, bro. Reading those stats, I'm wishy-washy. I'm wishy-washy because he's averaging 30, almost 34, 9, and 8, almost a 34-point triple-double for the 6th seed in the West.
Nuts.
It's insane. And just watching Luka play, it's just like, what do you do with him? What
Yeah.
what
No,
can you
to
do
me,
with him? He controls every aspect of the game. And like you said, they're two different teams. I think as of right now, obviously the Wolves are more talented, but yeah, that's why I don't have Luka as a lock. I think Ant's case is that strong to where you can kind of argue Luka not being locked in, even though his numbers suggest it shouldn't even be a question. You know what I mean?
so
But talk to
just
me.
to
Who did you have for your 2 starting guards?
so my two starting guards, Luca and Shea, bro.
Okay,
I
so you did
think
the same.
if we're gonna argue that Ant versus Luca case in terms of players, and not who's better, but like basically who's better, I'm taking Luca as my starting. I look at my All Star starters, bro, as if I want the five best, in the world in the Western Conference versus the five best in the world in the Eastern Conference. That's how I'm kind of thinking about this whole starters thing.
Got
And
you.
to me, you know, in the Western Conference, in the NBA, currently speaking, Luca and Shea are the two best guards.
I I I
In my
I
take,
100% agree. 100% agree. I think Steph has a case if his team was a little bit better. I think Steph has a case in terms of being that type of player still. He's having a solid
mm-hmm,
season, a great season still, but the Warriors,
mm-hmm,
they're not even in the play-in right now. So you just can't reward that, at least in my opinion. So moving on, then I have Kawhi Leonard as one of the forwards, as like the small forward you would say. And I
mm-hmm.
think with the Clippers, right? The Clippers are having an amazing season. Fourth in the West, 26 and 14. Kawhi Leonard is having, he hasn't missed many games, averaging 24, 6 and 3 on 52% field goal. Like he's having an amazing season shooting the basketball. Um, so I think honestly, the only reason he wouldn't be a lock for me is because you damn near could put Paul George in his spot too. If you didn't start both, right? If you didn't start both, you damn near could argue based on production that Paul George is having as good of a season or better than Kawhi. Like you can actually argue it because their stats are damn near identical. He's averaging
Right.
23.9 points a game, 5.5 assists, 3.7 assists, doing really well on the defensive end, a lot of deflections, a lot of steals. He's shooting the ball at a 46% clip, so not as efficient as Kawhi. But their production is almost like, damn, like if you had to choose one, who's really the best player in the Clippers production wise, I still think it's Kawhi, but you can make the case for Paul George.
Definitely could. And that's, I do my voting, so I do see the statistics for both of them, how close it is. I'm in agreement with you. I think that Kawhi is their best player.
Okay.
Now it's like on a nightly basis, though, you don't know what you're gonna get from those other guys, but you know that those two are going to, produce.
Hmm.
My front court is a little different. We got Jokic. It's the
Okay.
same player we share on both sides. I got LeBron and I got Kawhi. I don't have KD on my list. He is a reserve for me, but this year I don't think that early on though. If we were to go off the first 2 months, he's a starter for sure. But right now, I think his hot start kind of tailed off a little bit. I think LeBron still. I still want to see him in an All Star game. I still want to see what he can do. And like I said, going off my criteria, I want the five best. And I still he still checks that box for me, bro. I think he's still a top five, 5 to 7 NBA talent. I think that he's still box office. He's still super popular, and he's one of my favorite players to watch. So I had to give him that nod. So
Okay.
uh,
Who's more of an entertaining player? Whose game is more entertaining in an all-star setting? Kevin Durant or LeBron James?
I'm gonna say LeBron, um, but I could see why people would say Kevin Durant.
I agree. I agree. I think just based off his athleticism, all the dunking that LeBron is able to do, the alley oops,
Yeah.
some of his passing as well. As much as we would like to see KD's, hezzy pull ups and some of his dunks as well that are, he's pretty athletic as well. I think his athleticism is a little underrated. It's not LeBron James. So in an all-star setting, at least for me, when I think about it, I'd rather see LeBron in an all-star setting. But I will say this though, you having him over Kevin Durant is very, very interesting to me because for me, so I'm looking at LeBron. LeBron is averaging 25, 7, and 7. But when we look at the standings, like I said, the Lakers, they're the 10th seed, 21 and 22 right now as of this recording. They're
Bro.
barely in the play in. And when I'm looking at Kevin Durant, they're starting to get a lot healthier as far as having Bradley Beal back. The Suns currently are the eighth seed in the West. And, Kevin Durant's averaging 28, 29 points a game, 5 assists, 52% from the field, 46% from three. Kevin Durant is averaging is shooting 46% from three. He is knocking that shit down. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and with them being a higher seed than the Lakers and his production being just as or probably a little bit better than LeBron James, and I think he's having a better defensive season than LeBron. I think that he has to take that one of those forward spots over LeBron James. And for real, I don't even think that LeBron has the best case on his team to be an all-star starter this season. Anthony Davis, I think, has a better case currently than LeBron James to be a starter. And I would put Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant and Joker over those two, just based
Yeah.
off of team success and the Lakers just not doing as well, their play not leading to wins. So everyone's deserving. And this is what a lot of guys pundits have said is that NBA teams have 15 guys on the roster. Why are you only choosing 12 to represent a whole conference? They should be choosing 15. Is
It
if
should be.
the NBA was if the NBA took the initiative and changed it from 12-man rosters to 15-man rosters, a lot of this situations where guys get snubbed or he deserved to make it, he didn't make it, a lot of that will be taken care of because there'll be three extra spots on each team. And I think the NBA almost because why wouldn't you do it? I feel like the NBA doesn't do it because it leads to so much discussion. Who was snubbed? And it's such a big thing every time around
Yeah.
All-Star game. Why change it so that everybody can make it when you get a lot of buzz and stories because guys didn't make it? You know what I mean? And we hear
Mm-hmm.
this phrase all the time. Anthony Edwards is the future face of the league. Tell me, bro, do you feel this to be true? What first of all, what does it mean to you to be the future face of the league? And do you believe Ant-Man is the number one candidate for that title?
Yes, I do. I think I'm almost, 100% he is, going to be that new face of the league, excuse me. There's a couple boxes and you got to check off, bro. You got to be box office. You got to be exciting. You
Okay.
gotta, you gotta have some flair. You gotta be marketable.
Yes.
Um, and he checks all that. He just released a new Adidas sneaker. And this is just to add on top of the skill. He Adidas is marketing crazy for him. He's building hype. Kids love him. Kids want his stuff, his apparel. But that's just off the court. On the court, bro, this is a athletic freak. I mean, we compare him to he's a hybrid of so many guys in a league where I think Ja was primed for that, and then obviously with his off court issues, I think Ant surpassed him and has taken the reins on the face of the league or the future face of the league, I should say. Um, and he's got it, bro. He's got everything. He's got it.
Really? So you have him. I'm glad you brought up John Morant because I think someone who has benefited from the off-court actions in the absence of John Morant is Anthony Edwards. And I think what Anthony Edwards has kind of shown is he's showing his personality, right? He's being authentic, he's being real, which draws a lot of like the fans who are just like they're clamoring for Anthony Edwards, like, hey man, his personality, he's so funny. He was in the movie, he did a good job acting.
Yeah.
He brings that, that movie Hustle with Adam Sandler. He brings
Yep.
that, but then
By
he
the way.
knows there's a line.
Right.
Now, early
Right.
on, he did cross it a few seasons ago, maybe 2 seasons ago, where he had that incident where he used like a gay slur, and it was online and it went like viral or whatever. He got reprimanded for that, and he apologized. So he's had a hiccup or two, but for the most part, he kind of keeps the line. He strays the line between authentic and not
Right.
being over cocky, not being something, not acting in a way that turns off people
Hmm.
versus John Morant, who, like you said, he was primed, bro. Like John Morant had a similar personality, very engaging, very charismatic, very authentic. But you see, he's just crossed the line too far. People started to see him as too cocky,
Hmm.
too overconfident. Add that to the gun incidents where he's trying to act. He has the image of how do you say it? Like, just being too real. When keeping it real goes too wrong, John Morant was that. And I think Anthony Edwards is doing a good job so far of not keeping it too real. And so the masses are loving him. But for me, even in saying all that, I don't know if he has the game, but I think the future face of the league is going to be Luka Doncic. I think it's Luka Doncic. And I think a lot of people hoop fans don't want to say that because he's not from America. He's a foreign player.
Hmm.
But I think when you combine his dominance on the court, like his current dominance, how he will be dominating the game in the next few seasons, combined with the fact that he is an international player, right? So you may draw in some of the masses across the world, and the fact that he has a great personality as well. Maybe not as vocal as someone like Anthony Edwards or John Morant, but he still has an engaging personality. He's always smiling on the court. He's like the smiling assassin. He smiles all day, but he kills. And I think for me, based on their games and how I see them dominating the league the next 5 to 6 seasons, I got Luca as the face of the NBA. I think once LeBron retires, Steph gets older, Katie gets older, I think it's going to be a Luka Doncic league. I truly, truly do. Like you think he has the dominance of a Joker, but with more of a better personality in terms of just humor, smiling, mannerisms. He wants to be in the spotlight. I think a little more than someone like a Joker. I got Luka Doncic.
I like that, and I don't think that's too controversial of a take at all. I do agree with you though. I think he might be the current face of the league. Maybe he's 1 or 2 years off from that. Um, I mean, he's getting there though. What is he? 25? Is he 25 yet?
He's probably
The current phase of the league, I wanted to ask you this as well, but who are your guys that are the current faces of the league? I got Embiid, Giannis, and Joker leading. I don't think it's LeBron anymore. I don't think it's KD. Steph maybe has an argument.
as much as I love those guys and they're having great seasons, if we're talking about the face and we're talking so much about the popularity and things, marketability,
Mhm.
I think LeBron James and Steph Curry are still the two faces of the league. I still think that they run from a popularity, marketability. I still think they run things in terms of being the face. It may not be the best players, but as far as being the face, I think it has to be LeBron and Steph Curry still. I
So
do.
so we're essentially in agreement that the best players currently do not have to be the face of the league, and that's an
No,
they get misconstrued a lot. They
they
do.
do. I mean, you have to be one of the best at the top, no question. And I think that's when someone like when they talk about someone like Anthony Edwards, people are predicting 5 years down the line the type of player he'll be,
Mhm.
plus the personality. And that's why, at least for my pick, we already see what Luke is doing right now. And I generally have a feel that he'll probably be doing this the next 5 to 6 seasons
Mhm.
when Steph and LeBron age out, Kevin Durant age out. And I think he has the personality as well to, be that. But I'll say this in closing. Jason Tatum should be in that conversation. But I think, and for me, it has nothing to do with this game. I read someone's tweet before about Jason Tatum, and they said Jason Tatum is the most boring superstar in the NBA. And I thought about it and I was like, he is. He's not, it's nothing really a lot. Like he has like he's cool, it seems. And he has his son Deuce. Outside of that, Jason Tatum's pretty boring.
Bro, he seems too cool. Honestly, he seems like he's just too cool.
He's
Like
not funny.
no, he's not. He's
Like
not.
Kawhi Leonard is as stoic as he is, he's funny. Like that stuff is funny.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
Jason Tatum's not really funny. He's just
I-
very cookie cutter.
and I
Jason
forgot
Tatum.
about him when we were having this conversation about face of the league. I completely forgot about him. Like I didn't even remember.
Nothing
How
really
they came
there.
in the league. It's
It's
like,
nothing
bro,
really there. It's nothing really there. You know what I mean? The girls like him, obviously, but outside
he gets
outside of
his
that,
one.
bro. So moving on, I think this is a good topic, bro. As of right now, bro, who is your current rookie of the year?
Wemby for sure. And obviously it's between him and Chet. Um, but yeah, I think it's undoubtedly it's got to be Victor Wembanyama.
Okay.
Um, you know, statistics insane for a rookie. And I think we all knew this was coming, but um, past month, bro, I think he's really opened a lot of eyes. Averaging close to 20 a game, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 blocks. I mean, he's leading the league in blocks as a rookie. 3.2 blocks a game is, I mean, he's 7'4",
Insane.
7'5", so he should be blocking that many shots, but it's just he's a freak, bro. I could see him possibly one day getting maybe an MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year award in one season. It might happen, but yeah,
No,
he's undoubtedly Rookie of the Year. I think he's close, but he's not as close as people make it. Um,
a lot of people have Chet as the front runner. Like they
oh,
have Chet as the current number one person in terms of on the list for rookie of the year coming up.
yeah.
A lot of people honestly, I think Victor, as of this recording, may be turning the tide a little bit with his recent play because
Mhm.
of the dominance and the production he's giving in limited minutes. The Spurs aren't playing him a ton of minutes right now. They've kind of limited his workload a little bit. He's only averaging 28 minutes a game this season. And like you said, he's averaging 19, 10, and 3 blocks with 3 assists
Mhm.
as a 19-year-old rookie, right? In limited minutes.
Mhm.
But a lot of people they like what Chet is doing on because the OKC Thunder is the second team in the West, averaging 17, 7, and 2 assists. He's shooting a high field goal percentage. He can shoot the three. Um, so I guess a lot of guys are looking at he's averaging 2.5 blocks himself. A lot of people are looking at his efficiency, shooting 54% from the field versus Victor, who's shooting 46% from the field. And
Mhm.
Chet currently is a much better 3-point shooter. So I'm gonna agree with you, bro. I think Victor is the NBA Rookie of the Year so far because I look at it from a few perspectives. Number one, this is just a general belief, in my opinion. I don't feel that it is fair for guys to get drafted a particular season, get hurt, miss the entire season, what would have been their rookie season, and then can come back the next season, play, and be up for awards like Rookie of the Year. The reason I don't believe it's fair, even though it is technically their first season playing NBA basketball games, we both played ball, bro. We know the advantages of being able to, even if you can't play, let's say you're a red shirt in college, we know the advantages of being a part of a program, being in different practices, seeing the competition up close, working with NBA coaches. Like we can only imagine how much of an advantage Chet had in terms of how much more prepared he is to play this season versus just coming into the league last season because he has all the knowledge and experience of just being around the Thunder last year and rehabbing. You cycle that versus Victor. So yeah, bro. So for me, Victor's 19, Chet is like 21, 22, and Victor, everything is new for him. And he's coming in as the number one pick. Everything is new for him. He's learning, he's had to learn everything on the fly. And I just feel like I would rather reward Victor for being a true rookie versus Chet, who's essentially a redshirt rookie. You know, what do you feel about that?
It's an interesting take when you flip them. If you were to put Victor in Chet's position, second year rookie, and if you put Chet in his position, bro, Victor would out the gate he's averaging 20, 10, and 3 blocks, bro. If he had 2 years, he'd be averaging 25 to 28 a game, 13 to 14 rebounds. So it's a different argument if you put. So that's why Victor is undoubtedly my rookie of the year, bro. Because right out the gate he's averaging this, and Chet's second year he's still averaging less, and he had a head start.
Now again,
So I mean,
we have to give. I agree with you. I do think we also have to
um,
say that Chet is playing on a better team, so
true,
his statistical
true.
production may not equal Victor's. I think we have to be fair in that. But imagine, bro, just going off what you just said, how much better would the Thunder be if they had Victor in Chet's position? Now it's a
Right,
trade-off. Chet
right.
is a much better shooter. So I think
Mm-hmm.
he complements them on offense, being a big who can knock down the three. But how much better or how much higher would Victor's percentage be if he had guys like Shea, Lou Dort, Kassan Wallace, Jalen Williams driving and getting him open 3-point looks? Would his
Right.
percentage be much higher?
I mean, I
So
think so.
I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah.
And I think defensively, as good as Chet is, I think Victor's another monster defensively. If he was replacing Chet's spot on the
Mhm.
Thunder, I don't think the Thunder would necessarily need another big
Mhm.
as much as they do now.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
bro.
in my opinion, I just think Victor would lock down the paint a little bit better than Chet.
Bro, and Vic's not even getting the ball a whole lot. Like he got guards, bro, that don't even give him the time of day, bro. Like remember that video we sent, and for everybody, that's listening and watching, me and Kyle share a lot of basketball content throughout the week. So I'm referring to, there's a video that somebody constructed where it's, the amount of times guys like, was it Trey Jones, his point guard?
Yes.
Trey Jones
Well,
and
no,
Vince
let's
Time.
no. They had the Spurs have had Shohan playing the
Sohan.
point guard for portions of the season.
Yeah, bro. How
6'8"
many lobs?
Shohan.
Yeah, bro. How many lobs? How many just open looks he had where they could have gotten the ball and they just don't pass it and they make a terrible play. Keldon Johnson misses him a lot. So and he's averaging 20 and 20 points a game. He could be averaging way more if they gave him the ball. But yeah, bro, it's definitely Vic. He's the rookie.
It's Victor Wembanyama for me. And a lot of, like I said, a lot of guys are swaying towards Chet because of the success of the OKC Thunder. I promise you, if Victor was on the Thunder, there wouldn't be a lot of highlights of Shea Alexander, of Jalen Williams, of even Trey Mann before he got traded. It wouldn't be a lot of highlights of those guys missing lobs to Victor Wembanyama. It's the fact that he's on the Spurs and he's had Sohan as his point guard
Hmm.
and Keldon Johnson as one of his wings that he does not get the basketball like he should, like a 7'5" uberly skilled freak athlete should get the basketball.
Yeah, bro.
Um, it's ridiculous. So I think we in agreement there. Victor Wembanyama, as of this recording, is this rookie of the year. We'll see how it pans out throughout the season. I like Chet a lot, but I gotta go Vic. I think this has been a great episode, man. Episode 2. Check the show notes for all the information. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, hit the like button. If you're checking us out on any other podcast platforms, make sure to follow and leave us a 5-star rating. Information will be in the show notes. Hoop Fans Podcast. I'm K Rose. It's my guy Matt. We out.